Rebecca, I have some interesting emails as usual.
I'm excited.
I always save the most difficult emails for you.
I take that as a compliment.
I hope so. I hope so. So, anonymous listener, she says, I'm writing to ask for your thoughts on a situation involving my former psychiatrist. When I was 17, I was hospitalized for 8 months and treated for anorexia under his care. During that time, I experienced frequent punishments and felt emotionally unsafe. So just chiming in, she doesn't go into detail about what that means, but I think it sounds like he was either in charge or it was from him. So punishments and felt emotionally unsafe. Now, we don't know what actually happened, but that's the way it felt to her. I never had romantic feelings toward him, mostly resentment and anger, but I developed recurring fantasies about him having violent sex with me. These fantasies are disturbing and confusing. I often don't enjoy them.
Is this a sex therapy question?
Well, it's a sex question.
Okay.
I often don't enjoy these fantasies, or I only enjoy parts of the fantasies, and they seem more about surrender and escape than sexual desire. Surrender and escape than sexual desire. Rebecca, what do you think of this so far?
Well, this is common. So we've talked about this before, that whatever happens within your own mind is okay. What's interesting about this is that, these aren't quite fantasies. There's something else going on here.
How do you define fantasy?
Well, I don't want to, can you say usually in rape fantasies, there's a lot of control by the fantasizer about exactly who will rape them, where they will be raped, how long it will take, how pleasurable it will be.
Yeah, meaning that it's enjoyed. So
Yes.
She's saying, I often don't enjoy them.
Yeah.
Or if she does enjoy them, she only enjoys parts of the fantasies, but there are parts that she doesn't enjoy.
So
That's not
right. There's some kind of reoccurring PTSD split thing happening where it's like half sexual fantasy, half her brain is working out. This is my opinion.
conceptualization.
Yes, half working out how he abused her, and we don't know how he abused her.
We would assume that it would be a sexual punishment if we would assume she would mention that. But the vibe was authority, masculinity, punishment, unsafe.
You're somewhere for 8 months. So now no one gets treated for 8 months. So that's interesting information too, that she was there for so long.
And maybe it helped, maybe even fatherly or something, a mixture. If it's 8 months, that's a lot of time with someone.
Yeah, and I'm wondering too, often in eating disorder, there's like weigh-ins and, you gain privileges
And lots of body talk.
Yes,
and
and
weight
also
talk.
you're followed into the bathroom, and do you purge even though, it's very intense. I say this probably every time eating disorders come up, that in my graduate program, we were not allowed to do eating disorder work in our internships because it was considered too complicated and difficult.
I would agree unless the supervisor has expertise and plans on hand-holding not only the therapist, but the team that usually needs to be involved.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I would say that the only thing I'd add to that is that, fantasies are fantasies. Thoughts are thoughts. There's nothing shameful about it. If it gives you pleasure, it gives you pleasure. If it's disturbing, then obviously looking into that, what's going on there. Things can become intertwined, right? Like your sexual desire with your trauma, these things can become intertwined and can become confusing. The one thing I'll say is that if I had a client like this, I would want to drill down on this enjoyment versus lack of enjoyment, because there's a chance that, I don't hear this, but there's a possibility, at least in part, if not wholly, that the lack of enjoyment has to do with the shame of it rather than the experience of the fantasy. You know what I mean?
Right. And are there is this, to get very Freudian here, is this a sign that this trauma needs to be processed through in different ways? That often in our culture, sexual, addressing something sexually is kind of the easiest way, not easiest, but is like kind of an acceptable way to look at something. Doing deep grief and loss work about how an institutionalized time impacted your life. And I think Paris Hilton just did a documentary about this, where she was hospitalized in a way that was, or I think it was like a boarding school that was really punishment based.
I did a reaction video series to this documentary that came out 4 or 5 years ago.
But I don't know a single person that was institutionalized for a long period of time that doesn't have a complex thoughts about that time.
Yeah.
You're separated from your family and friends. You don't have access to technology, or your phone calls are limited. All of these things are extremely restricted.
Yeah.
All in the sense of like, we're here to make you better.
Right.
It's a pretty intense experience.
Yeah, and it's not usually seen that way, right? Because it's like you're being hospitalized. It's universally positive. You're getting treatment. But even if it was medical treatment, there could be trauma usually. Just the feeling of having all those things sticking in and out of you and lacking control, and just being in an environment where people are suffering and dying. It's hard. So trauma or recovery or processing is likely necessary for everyone. How many of these people are actually given that attention? Very few, that kind of thing. The other thing I'll say is that when it comes to sexual fantasies, we don't have control over the scriptwriter. And that
Who is the scriptwriter, doctor?
Something deep, the collective unconscious, something. And that scriptwriter will cast anyone in your fantasies or your dreams or your associations. And it might not have anything really to do with that individual. So the scriptwriter will cast who they want. And if they're looking for an archetype of
someone in power,
someone who cares / doesn't care, and wants to work something out in your unconscious while getting sexual pleasure. I mean, you might have even got some sexual charge. You're 17 at the time. There's a lot of body talk. And I'm just going to take a guess and say if you were hospitalized for 8 months for treatment for anorexia, you were traumatized growing up in all likelihood.
Right. The need for power and control and secrets. These are all things that come up in eating disorder treatment.
Yeah. And the scriptwriter is writing a screenplay, not of a story in which you are in an environment, but every aspect of the dream is you.
Yes.
So
right.
You are yourself in the dream. You are the doctor in the dream. You are the environment in the dream. And so that element of the abusive or violent sexual predator, that is you. Now, you aren't a sexual predator, but the aspect of power, the aspect of predating, the aspect of not caring about other people, whatever it is, whatever association, there's a representation that is happening there in addition to working out past things. Anyway.
Yeah, and can you find a caring self does this replicate any relationships that you've had? And are you having trouble finding a caring partner in the outside world? Are you playing something out? I am really, so becoming a sex therapist is really interesting because people are like, "Ooh, are you talking about sex all the time?" And it's like, not really. I'm talking about the sex that people don't want to be having, or the sex that people wish they were having. If this were my client, if a client came to me with this scenario, I would want to process into the trauma of the hospitalization. I would want to process into what is a pleasurable sexual fantasy that doesn't include these feelings of like repulsion, desire, which is also so common in eating disorders, right? Like the repulsion of the self.
And the punishment of the self.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, we are so Freudian today.
Well, it fits. The reason why I say the scriptwriter is just casting who they feel like it, and it might not really have much to do with the actual individual, is that there will be people that will think, oh, I must want to have sex with that individual in the real world.
Yeah.
If you just look at other dreams, you don't usually say that about, like if you're like you just sat down and said you had a dream about being a school counselor. You were being hired to be a school counselor by where your high school was, presumably where Tucker Carlson went to high school with you in San Diego.
That is correct.
And
I was like, why did my brain pick this? This is so random.
right. So you don't wake up and say, "Oh shit, does that mean I should be a school
Move
counselor?"
to San Diego, right?
No, you know that your brain is just picking some symbol or is just trying to put you in a situation where you feel like a fish out of water or a new start or whatever it is. And so your brain, when it grabs onto the psychiatrist, and I say all this because some people will tell me, after years of therapy, that they have a recurring dream about having sex with their dad. Mm-hmm. And they're terribly ashamed of it. And it has nothing, after some investigation, it has nothing to do with sexual abuse or any sort of...
Right, there's a power dynamic there.
Yeah, there. But your scriptwriter will grab anybody and doesn't care how you feel about it.
So my dreams have been particularly insane lately. And I had, have you seen the VW bus remodels that are out and about? Yeah. So I had this dream that I was driving, E was in the back, and I was in one of those cars, and they're super round in the front.
Yeah.
And in my dream, something was happening with the car, and the whole car tipped onto the front and was like standing front end up, and we were able to like tip it back. But and every time I see that car now, I'm like, oh, like, is it going to do that? But that was just my brain making crap up.
Yeah, right. So don't consider it some sort of inner unconscious desire to have sex with that psychiatrist is a thing. It might, but it might not. You can be your own evaluator of that when you're awake.
And were there other sexual desires at 17 that were getting repressed? I'm curious what the tie-in there is.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying. Yeah. Like, you're 17. Most people are pretty horny at that point. Yeah. And you're 8 months in a hospitalized...
Seeing limited people.
Right. You might be one of the only available men for your crotch to associate sex with. But going on with the email...
Oh, there's more.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good.
Well, just wait.
Oh, boy. Okay. It's buckling in.
Yeah.
I'm going to tip forward in that VW bus. That's going to be my new metaphor.
Yeah. Any guesses, by the way?
Oh, God. They hook up later.
Well, okay.
Okay.
14 years later.
Damn it. I'm good.
I contacted him online to try to make sense of these fantasies. Since then, he has encouraged me to pursue a sexual relationship with him virtually and has been pressuring me to meet him in person for sex. I feel scared of him.
Yeah.
But I also feel compelled to try and please him.
Oh, Lord. I'm sorry. Not Lord for you, just Lord for him for asking.
So what do you think?
Well, no wonder her brain was doing this. He was probably sending out he was probably grooming her 14 years ago or 17 years ago, however long ago it was.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it certainly wouldn't be a surprise, but it also could just be coincidence,
Yeah. So don't do it. This person, why? Because the power dynamics are so messed up. You're not going to heal anything or solve anything. The fact that he's asking you is all about his narcissistic ego / unprofessional. I want to know who this guy is so I can go punch him, just out of my own level of frustration at the world right now. Yeah. Super messed up. I didn't want to be right in my guess, but I was.
Yeah. So for you, anonymous listener, to reach out to him is fine. You're confused. You're still struggling to some extent, and that is fine. If someone reached out to me and asked me a question like this, there's various different responses, but I've had not this exact experience, but I've had experiences. Have you ever experienced this? Like 10 plus years later, someone contacts you with something that is kind of juicy like this? Not like that they will have fantasies about you necessarily, but...
I've had people come back. I just had this happen. Somebody came back in for a few sessions, but not like no, not like this.
There's nothing wrong with you, an anonymous listener, reaching out and just being like, I have these fantasies and what's going on. the way he should have responded would have been, I'm sorry, I can't talk with you about that unless we re-engage professionally. And, if you want to do that, let me know. Or if you are talking with a therapist right now, I could confer with that person, or I could meet with you and that therapist virtually and we could talk about it or something. Keep it professional. There's nothing wrong with you doing that. There could have been some actual growth or therapy or clarification that could have happened from that. But from his side, it's like, my fucking God, yes, of course, Rebecca, he deserves a massive fucking punch in the face.
We could punch him in the face together.
Well, not at the same time, because I feel like it won't be as satisfying.
A 1-2 punch?
How about you loosen him up and I...
You come in for the...
Well, I'd go for the nuts. How about that?
Oh, okay. I
feel like as a lesbian, going for the nuts, that's too cliche.
Oh, okay.
So go for the face.
Go for the face.
And I'll go for the nuts.
I could go for the throat. That would be really satisfying.
Yeah. So he is a problem, and agree that
and if he's doing this to you, because this happened to me recently online, I got super harassed. And I was like, do I speak up? And then I was like, right, I should speak up because this person is doing this to other people, and not everybody's going to speak up. And it's good to speak up because...
Wait, what happened? Oh, no.
Someone wrote me very like... Oh, am I not in the mic?
Yeah.
Someone wrote me very much like, hey, so nice to connect, blah, 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 blah. And I've been so busy lately with things that I've told you about that I've just like stuff's like I'm like I can't respond. I need a secretary so bad right now, like just to respond to the little stuff. I couldn't get to it. I couldn't write back. And the next thing they wrote me was just like they just like took it.
Wait, this is a client or a friend?
This is neither. This is somebody reaching out. This is a human in space.
Okay, neither the friend nor client.
Right.
Okay,
just human. And when I didn't respond, they just like went off.
And was there an expectation, or was there a reasonable expectation that you would respond?
In the way that like I can't respond to everyone that reaches out to me, I just can't respond.
Yeah, okay.
And it was on a supported platform, and I just wrote the administrator on that platform, and I was like, hey, if this person is doing this to me, I'm going to guess they're doing this to other people.
Yeah.
I screenshotted it, sent it to my friends, just FYI.
And why were you bringing that up? What was that? What was the connection?
I don't know.
People that can't think straight?
People that, I'm not sure why I'm telling this story today.
Well, I interrupted you and asked you to tell me the story.
But just, why should she speak up that this guy has encouraging her to have a virtual sexual relationship? If he's still employed somewhere or attached to something, consider speaking up and saying something, because if he's doing this to you, chances are very high he's doing this to other people. Yep. Release the Epstein files.
Yeah. So the other detail here is that you say that you're scared of him, but you feel compelled to please him. There's nothing in there that says, I'm actually attracted to him, or I want to get some gratification from this. All you're saying is, I'm scared of him and I feel compelled to try to please him. So, I say that because if she did have some legitimate, non-scared attraction to him, I still would say don't do it because it's going to be traumatic, but it's such a slam dunk indicator of trauma that's happening.
Her unconscious in the dreams or in the fantasies is already working out what will happen in the reality. Yeah. It's like there's a predicting factor.
I don't know if people can hear my neighbor's dogs.
Is that your neighbor's dogs?
Yeah, they sound like they're dying, don't they?
Yeah.
This happens periodically, and it drives me nuts. Because when my dogs bark in our yard, we immediately take care of it. Did they take care of it? No.
They were doing that when I came in. I thought it was your dogs, and then I realized.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. That it was not.
There's some new dogs in our neighborhood. There's a dog further down that will bark at 3 a.m. in the morning for an hour, and I'm thinking,
no.
How can you live with yourself?
Yes. No.
Leaving your dog out, 1, 2, just barking without any...
No, I do believe that society is collapsing and things like this are truly a sign. It's not just the level of trash on Rainier Avenue South right now. It's also barking dogs that are proof.
There's trash on Rainier?
Oh, Lord. So there, the McDonald's on like Rainier, where that has become like a drug using escapade going into the parking lot, into the green space up above. Oh. And the amount of trash every single day, I have become that person.
It's a fire hazard,
Yeah, it's a biohazard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really out of control.
Yeah, huh. I mean, it's sad that you have traumatized people that are seeking some temporary solace through heroin and fentanyl, and if you're a patron, then part of your pledge goes towards Plymouth Housing, which is one of the premier sort of helpers of situations like that. Yeah.
I'm glad I'm helping.
Yeah.
Because when I drive by every day, I'm just like, it's, when you're like, this is society's problem, this is everybody's problem, but oh my God, like this is so bad.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question about the barking? So it gets
all over the map.
It gets so bad sometimes that I open the window and I just
yell at the dogs.
I briefly will say, quiet. I just yell quiet.
Does it work?
Well, I don't know, but at the very least, it might give a message to the owners of tell your dog, just bring him inside. That's what we do. When my dogs start barking, I just say, hey, come on, come inside, and they come inside, and everything's fine, and it's not a big deal. It's just like if they're barking inside. They're not bothering the neighbors. They usually will calm down in 30 seconds and I can let them back out again. It's not a big deal. You know what I mean? And so, but Stacy will go like, oh, don't do that. She's not upset, but it sort of, is
how
not
much
her style.
Right. How do you interact with situations that are, it's unneighborly to let your dog bark and bark and bark and bark.
Yeah. Well, the thing is and this is such a guy thing to say, I think, of my age, but I'm like, so a dog can just scream for an hour, but I can't just say quiet once. You know what I mean? Like we're all animals making noises, and somehow me saying quiet is this massive neighborly violation where you can just have your dog just screaming.
I think if you yelled, get your dogs to shut the fuck up, that would be a little intense, but that's not what you're doing.
No, because if the parents hear me say that, or the owners, and that bothers them,
like you're putting an intention, a gentle intention.
It's sort of like a honk, it's like I can hear, like when you're on the road and someone is about to get into your lane and they don't see you in the blind spot, you're honking of just like, hey, I'm here. You could say, oh, the honk is really aggressive. Seattleites are notorious for that. Like, oh my God, someone honked. You're in Manhattan. And it's just like it seems like to not honk is to be impolite sometimes in Manhattan, in certain parts of Manhattan. Anyway, getting back to the question. So,
yes.
What her question is.
Do it. Oh my God.
So she has some specific questions. Could this be explained, meaning her reaching out to him and the fantasies? Could this be explained by transference even though the feelings aren't romantic? Rebecca?
Sure, but is she replaying something out? Could she just be
processing trauma?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, typically when we say transference,
we're kind of staring at each other blankly like, I wouldn't use the word transference, and I'd use the word enactment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good job. Because with transference, you could argue it is, but...
of course, as people in the therapy world, we could argue just about anything.
Yeah. But typically what we're talking about with transference is early childhood experiences with one's caregivers, one's parents. And if that makes sense, if you were sexually abused by your dad or something, or he was physically abusive but also warm at times, then the transference of, well, I guess it depends on the intention you had reaching out to him. Was it just out of treatment curiosity, or were you actually partly kind of playing with an attraction for him or curiosity or something? Anyway, so it doesn't really matter what word we put to it, but I think we've explained at least our initial conceptualization. And then she says, or is it more like a trauma response?
Yes, bravo.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding.
And then she says, "Thank you for your insight and your compassionate way you approach these topics."
Oh.
Let's take a break. What do you say?
Okay.
So during the break, I opened the window and yelled "quiet" to demonstrate. So was that untoward, neighborly?
No, I thought it was beautiful.
And then I closed
it.
my windows. And then you told me that Diane Keaton died.
Yeah. So in order to honor her incredible memory and legacy and all the variety of things that she did in her life were just mind-blowing. And she was a style icon. I rewatched First Wives Club, which holds up so good and is so funny and has a lesbian subplot, which is so early for that and those kinds of movies. But she's so much funnier than I remembered. She kind of plays the woman that's trying to be super nicey and hold it all together, and then she freaks out. But in that movie, her marriage therapist is having an affair with her husband. Do you remember that plot line?
No.
Oh, it's so funny. They do a great job with it. Anyways.
I am looking at her filmography. Of course,
Oh my God.
The Godfather is the first movie I remember
Incredible.
her from. And then she
Annie Hall.
is in Annie Hall.
Reds.
I rewatch Annie Hall like once a year. It's such
so good.
Yeah, it's such fun. Interiors, which
Oof,
is my other
brutal.
one of my other favorite Woody Allen movies. It's a very huge departure, and it's the very next year, and it's very family therapy, Freudian kind of thing. She was in Manhattan, which I don't remember. And there's
which
that.
has the greatest soundtrack ever.
And she was in Reds.
Which is incredible. She's incredible in that movie.
Yeah.
It's just a 3-hour movie.
Yeah. Little Drummer Girl. I don't remember that. Let's see. What else? Godfather 3. Father of the Bride.
Father of the Bride. I need to rewatch that
Manhattan Murder Mystery, another Woody Allen movie.
And Father of the Bride, she was with Steve Martin.
Yeah.
And Steve Martin has done some beautiful remembrances of her, but one of which was that they were in the same college play. She had the lead and he was a stagehand.
Really?
Which I just thought he posted the program and it was like so touching.
I wonder if that was in his memoir, because I recently read it, and he taught. Have you read his memoir? It's so interesting.
He's such an interesting. So then that got me on my Steve Martin memory, which was when I was 7 years old. My parents bought me Wild and Crazy Guy, and then we listened to it as a family. Completely inappropriate listen, but Steve Martin is a huge influence on me.
Yeah.
But the idea that like they were friends long before they did Father of the Bride.
Apparently, she directed one of the Twin Peaks episodes from
which makes perfect sense.
1991, which is very new information for me. But the other thing I want to talk about is there's no more Queer Love.
Yeah. Devastated.
Yeah. So the assumption by Tiff from season 1 and others is
Who
that
we receive all our information from.
Yeah. Is that this is a Trumpian response against all things human, and Netflix is kowtowing to that, or what do you think?
Well, I know personally that the numbers are huge. I mean, and then I saw what the numbers were, and they were huge. So it doesn't make any sense to me that they canceled it. I don't know if it's too complicated to cast.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, because they would pull from all over the country.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's a good chance that was a factor. I mean, with Jimmy Kimmel and Colbert and other kinds of things, it's pretty clear that even if the government isn't threatening a particular media outlet, there's been a shift culturally, and essentially all the rich white secret MAGA guys are starting to assert themselves, you know.
And not just Netflix, but like, is this a ultimatum pullback from queer content, right? Because
that's what I mean. Yeah.
Their content's, well, I'm just like bigger, Netflix is one thing, but just to like, this really comes out of a very specific arm of things that is traditionally very straight. These like love and romance shows can easily go on just producing straight content.
Right.
And it was pretty...
Because queer people will watch straight content. Straight people don't watch queer content.
Yeah.
Except for Queer Love Season 1.
Yeah.
And
people are still talking about it.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah, I watched it and reacted to it thinking that it was not going to get much activity on YouTube, my reaction videos.
I mean, we're still sending each other memes about it.
Yeah,
Like,
but it was a big deal, and I don't know the numbers. And Netflix is kind of cagey about reporting those kinds of things, which is fine. Plus, it's from them; we can't really know for sure what's happening. But it seemed pretty clear that season 1 was in the zeitgeist. Season 2 was not. It was pretty clear that not only with my numbers, which is fine, but with the chatter online and everything like that. And so I couldn't figure out what, obviously, and no one would know what that is, but I think there's a number of possibilities. It could be MAGA CEOs or Trump pressure or worries of things or something. It could be just people following the trend and canceling a show that had a tremendous success and is, even if it was just an average success, it's a public good in some ways, to push the ball forward.
I mean, friends of mine would write me every episode that they watched, like, what do you think? Oh my God, what's happening?
Yeah.
Like, this was a way for us to bond and connect and see ourselves in a way that nothing else has ever done.
Yeah. But I was also wondering if it was audience related, at least in part, in that the first season, for whatever reason, just struck the right chord with people, and maybe it was novel or something, because I am just going to take a guess and say that the majority of viewers were not queer, were not gay themselves, and were because that's most viewers is that they're not queer, and so it was a novel thing that might have worn off by the second season, and people were just like, oh yeah, I watched season 1 and that was interesting, but I have other things to watch this time. I don't know, but it was a pretty big difference. Netflix also, I think, will ratchet down their marketing, because they can push whatever.
They can blow something out of the water. Yeah.
Yeah. Like there was Love is Blind season 5, if people remember, was sort of a disaster season. And Netflix clearly was not trying to highlight that season. And I think Stacy told me that she only figured out that the season had even been published because someone emailed about it. Usually, because if on Netflix, if you tend to watch a show, the next season, 2 weeks before it comes out, it's like coming soon, right?
Right.
And it wasn't doing that with that.
Yeah,
So
they got me so excited about Great British Bake Off that I was going crazy, and then I was like, I have to wait 2 weeks.
Yeah. Right. So Netflix has the ability to
they know me
to highlight certain things for you. And with Queer Love season 2, because of MAGA CEOs or pressure, did they just not promote it enough or something? I don't know. But the fact that it's canceled is, that fucking sucks. We're going in the wrong direction here.
Yeah. I will say this weekend, just in terms of queer culture has always been underground. We've never seen ourselves represented. We create our own entertainment that exists outside of these spaces that are corporately funded. I went to T-Boy Wrestling. Have you heard about this?
No.
It's out of LA. They have a tour where I think they pull on local folks to volunteer to wrestle. It's all trans men, Greco-style wrestling, and some kind of more performance piece wrestling on a sprung floor in a traditional wrestling ring, ripping their shirts off, the crowd going insane. And I was like, oh right, this is how we meet in these outside events. If it comes to your town, please go. It was unbelievable, sold out, so sold out that I was like, I think we're at fire code capacity here. It just felt packed and excited. So it just reminded me of, that I don't expect to see myself on TV. I expect to see myself in a tiny venue reflecting ourselves back to ourselves.
Yeah.
And I'm super bummed that Queer Love got canceled.
Speaking of bum, Jane Goodall died.
I know. Early hero. My God. Talk about someone who was badass to the very last moment of her existence. Mm-hmm. Talk about someone who changed the way we think about animals and ourselves. And I keep reflecting on this, that if you're ever in Seattle, we have a great a local history museum called Mohai, Museum of History and Industry, and in their new to us location, if you're as old as we are, I'm sure it's been there for like 10 years at this point.
What?
The new location of Mohai, it's not near the UW anymore now.
Right,
it's now at the bottom of Lake Union.
Yeah, I think it goes back 20, 25 years. Yeah.
So they have this great McCarthyism exhibit, and it's the full list of the un-American activities, what you would be asked if you were called and presumed to be a communist. Okay. And one of the questions was, do you believe that animals have the same rights as humans? And I think of Jane Goodall all the time when I think of that question, because she believed that animals have the same rights as humans.
Wow. Yeah.
What's your Jane Goodall memory? I mean, you look moony as you think about her.
Well, I feel like there would just be these occasional blips of contact with her in documentaries, and I just have these visions of her releasing a chimpanzee or a gorilla into the wild after being pulled out of a zoo or injured in the wild or shot, but alive and given medical treatment and then released, and how the fellow primates would interact with her in a way that just seems so human, and her voice.
They would like come back for a hug. I mean, it was just like, like so beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance that when I was like, I don't know, 15 or 20 or something, that one of the very first times when I was like, oh, yeah, they're just other animals like us. Mm-hmm. Like that looks very relatable, the way that Jane Goodall is relating to those other primates, and the emotion is clear, and the attachment and the relationship and the appreciation and the bond or whatever. And the human side of primatology, or the human side of biology or evolution, or, that she added that, and she was such a great speaker for it. And she was smart in a lot of ways,
Her last interview, she just rips Trump to shreds. Like, I'm like, way to go. Like right before you go out. Yeah. Just punch him in the throat. That's what I have to say.
Do you want to hear my list of recent people that have died that are on my list?
Brutal.
Robert Redford.
Which is a huge hero. Have you ever been to Sundance Film Festival?
No.
Life-changing. I mean, what he did for film, life-changing.
Yeah. I watched a couple of his movies recently. Like
Did he do Ordinary People? Was that him?
No. Well, he might have directed it, but he wasn't in it. Michael Madsen, I don't know if you know him, but he was famously in Reservoir Dogs, Mr. White. He was the guy who cut off the cop's ear, if you remember that part.
Yes.
Lynn Marie Stewart, she was Charlie's mom on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and she was also in a lot of. She used to be on Laverne and Shirley, and she was in American Graffiti. She's
so great in that role.
Graham Greene, the Native American actor. Terrence Stamp, who was General Zod in Superman 2.
And also was Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Right. Yes, exactly. And also in The Limey, I think. He was in a bunch of shit. Jim Lovell, astronaut, from Apollo 13, the one that Tom Hanks portrayed. Danielle Spencer, she was the younger sister in What's Happening. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes. She was a veterinarian.
Oh, was she?
She went on to be a veterinarian. Yeah. What a cool, that role was so...
Yeah. I can't remember her name, but Raj was the older brother, right? And she was always bothering him. Yeah. Hulk Hogan, another 80s figure.
Not a good guy, though.
Ozzy Osbourne.
Ozzy Osbourne. So what's your earliest Ozzy Osbourne memory or primal?
Well, before I had ever heard his music, I had just heard, because in the 70s, all the panic among the suburban people about him, and also Kiss, rumored to bite the heads off bats on stage, and how they had all this devil worship and stuff. And that's all that I heard. So when I heard of Ozzy Osbourne or Black Sabbath or Kiss, I thought of just like horrible death, just really dark music. And then I started later in life actually listening to Kiss albums, and it's just
pretty
like
poppy.
It's very poppy. It's almost like 50s music in a way,
Well, so did you see?
And then later I would love Black Sabbath. I listen to it all the time.
So Black Sabbath. Ozzy Osbourne is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice. Once as with Black Sabbath, and once on his own. And when he got inducted on his own, have you seen this piece where Jack Black does Ozzy Osbourne and Billy Idol does Ozzy Osbourne? It's like, just what is positive? I mean, he was a horrible drug addict, not great to his wives, all of this other stuff. But in terms of like what is male magnetism, I would say it's Ozzy Osbourne. As a lesbian, that's
Malcolm Jamal Warner. I think we talked about this.
God, I sobbed my eyes out on that one.
Connie Francis, the singer.
Yes.
Jimmy Swaggart, the preacher.
Good riddance on that one.
Sly Stone, the musician.
Oh.
Brian Wilson, the Beach Boy. George Wendt, Norm on Cheers.
Really? He died? Yeah. I missed that.
Yeah. This is all...
Oh, no, I didn't miss that because I thought of where do I go that people say my name and it's the consignment store.
Becca. This is all 2025. Pope Francis, Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer, the documentary of Val Kilmer that his son made is really worth a watch. It's really a life well lived, and he lost his voice like 10 years before he died.
Yeah.
And found a way to torment his kids voiceless. It's really precious.
George Foreman, the boxer / seller of the George Foreman Grill. Did you know he has like 5 sons, all named George?
George, yes.
Yeah. Roberta Flack, the singer.
Yeah.
Gene Hackman, the actor. And David Lynch, the director.
So added to that, I always thought her name was Miss Major, but she had 2 last names. So one of the most famous, important Stonewall
activists.
She was there. She passed away a day or 2 ago.
Miss Major. Mm-hmm. Marsha Johnson.
Yeah.
I'll make note of it.
Yeah, really changed the story on trans identity in terms of early pioneer in trans power as opposed to trans suffering. Just made, and from what I've heard, would really take the time to talk to somebody and not be like on a high horse, but really like emotionally available for anyone who would approach her. Powerful, powerful woman.
Yeah, she just died yesterday.
Yeah.
So I keep an Excel spreadsheet of notable deaths called the Death Log, and that's me because I think about death every day.
Your book's about to come out.
It is.
Do I get to?
I'm not gonna. You don't have to read or buy or anything, but
I want.
But I'd be curious what you thought of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we've bonded on so intensely. You've been so helpful to me in my own grieving process, which I then hear is helpful to other people's grieving process.
Yeah. I mean, I personally am proud of the thing, but I don't consider myself to be a writer. So, read, if you do read it with that in mind. Let's take a break. We get back. I will read an email. What do you say?
Okay.
All right, email, annual long-term patron Sarah. She says, I have some questions for Rebecca.
Here I am.
You recently answered my question on EMDR therapy. Thank you so much. I've been going to therapy for about 7 years for complex trauma, and now I'm doing EMDR to help me process that trauma. So thanks for answering my email. Since I started EMDR, I've had an increase in my trauma symptoms.
Yes.
I re-listen. What?
Do you want to, can I just jump
Please.
in there? So I always say to clients, like, hey, you probably don't talk about this very much. So when you're doing trauma therapy, I always think of like we're stirring the pot. So anything that had gotten settled safely down at the bottom is now reactivated.
Yeah. And I will say that there's a tolerable, helpful level of trauma symptom stirring, and you can't do it without it. You can't recover without that. Do you like my metaphor?
I like it. No, I'm like, are we going to play with this metaphor the whole time? I think it'd be good.
Yeah.
It's a good metaphor.
So no pain, no gain when it comes to trauma recovery. You're going to have some.
You're going to have to go in there, and we don't make any space for it.
Yeah.
It's real hard.
Yeah.
And you feel alone, but you're not.
Yeah. Having said that, there's a tolerable level, and if it's beyond that, then you're going too fast, and the therapist.
I also say that to my clients. Like, if this is if this is unmanageable, what we're doing, I will slow down.
Yeah. So there's manageable level, but there's also re-traumatization level. It's sort of akin to, if we use another metaphor of working out. If you haven't worked out in a long time and you just really go for it, you could tear muscles, you could create scar tissue, you could have a heart attack, right? So that exercise is good, but too much exercise can actually kill you. So, it's all a matter of balance, and there has to be a lot of monitoring. But anyway,
and also with EMDR and with sensory motor, the work that I do is like, we're not just doing verbal processing. So with EMDR, you're working in the channels of the brain. I don't know how else to say it. With sensory motor, we're working in the channels of the body. And the hope is that you can get to some of the content without having to talk specifically about all of the details, which is where it can get more traumatizing than not.
Going on. I re-listened to Rebecca's episode about her trauma, the one where you were laying down on the ground.
Yes, which is it's patron only. So if you haven't heard it, become a patron.
And I was so impressed with her writers around talking about her trauma.
To you.
Yeah, writers meaning like
I will do this if you take me out to lunch afterwards.
Well, and comfy position, regular breaks, high protein meal.
Yes.
So
that Kirk had to drive me he had to drive me to lunch.
we had lunch, and the writer meaning that I don't know if it only applies to like performers that are traveling, but they will send a writer ahead to the venue saying, "These are the things that I need," And so she's saying, I was impressed that Rebecca asserted that, and she's saying those things seemed specific and helpful and feasible. My questions are, how did you, Rebecca, develop these self-care behaviors? How did you?
So I am decades into processing my trauma, and some of this was that I was doing this with you, so it felt safe to ask. I don't always ask for what I need or get what I need, but I felt comfortable to ask you. I also had to really think it through. Like, I was doing something that could have been really risky. I mean, I've only gotten positive content back at me. I don't know if you're editing it, but like all of the very emotionally exposed things that I've done on this. So I mean, I had to think it through. Like, hey, I'm going to do this thing. What usually happens to me when I do something really emotional? Well, my endocrine system goes crazy, so I should probably eat afterwards. Do I want to sit up while I tell this story? Hell no. I need to lie down. So it was really just kind of doing a systems review. I guess some of this is probably sensory motor, that, I am going through felt, perception, seeing, hearing, tasting, feeling.
Have you always been this way, though? Like, able to assert your needs? Yeah.
No.
So how did you develop that?
I think sensory motor really helped me do that. Like
paying attention to your body.
Paying attention to my body. Like, just the food part. Like, I brought in a protein shake just today to do this podcast. I the older I get, the more I understand how my body works. And that I know I can go hypomanic, meaning my body will shut down. So part of lying down was me thinking, well, what do I do usually? Well, I usually go into collapse. So if we pre-plan collapse, and I'm already collapsed, then I won't collapse. I'm already in the right position to collapse if I need to collapse.
Yeah.
So yeah, and this is the work of Pat Ogden and Dr. Janina Fisher. But yeah, especially for women, we're given no permission to know what our needs are ahead of time. Or if we state them, we're told that we're way too much. So hell yeah, it was shamed out of me not to have needs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's complicated, but the bottom line is that for me, I hope that...
why did you respect them? Or what was it like to hear me ask for all that stuff?
Yeah, well, it's a gift to me to be able to do that for you. So and it was not inconvenient at all. Of the things you were asking for, it was like, fine, totally. It was unusual, like, because I gave you like a big down blanket, and
it was very comfy.
And I figured out a way to make that. It was
sunny that day. I'm sitting in the same spot right now. I remember it was sunny.
And I had to figure out a way to get the microphone into your face while you're on the ground.
And you couldn't see me. This was also in COVID protocol, so we were even farther apart.
Well, I had a different setup in my office, so I couldn't really see you, which, but I could hear you. You were just like, maybe 5 feet away from me. But anyway, it was a gift that I could do that for you. As a friend, as a supportive person, as a human, people want to help. And if you tell them how they can help, then they feel good about themselves, It's sort of, just imagine, if you've ever had that feeling when you're walking around your hometown and you see a tourist and they walk up to you and say, "Where's the Space Needle?" And you can say, "It's 2 blocks that way." All you have to do is look up, you fucking idiot. Just joking. I don't think that, but when I used to live right by the Space Needle, and there'd be a lot of tourists looking at that tourist map, and I would walk up and I'd be like, "Hey, can I help you find something?" And I'd be like, "Oh my God, thank you." And it was usually pretty easy because in that zone, it's like this weird angle roads.
So if you've never been to Seattle, there's 3 or 4 points in this town that are total tangle towns.
Yeah.
Because 3 or 4 different white guys, when they built up the city, oriented their streets in different directions.
Yeah.
And part of it also is that we have several bodies of water which impact what direction streets can go into. And so you get these areas like around the Space Needle, around Green Lake. They're just like, the streets are so confusing that people just get lost.
Right. Yeah. That 5-point stop by Green Lake is, and it's really a wide space and everyone's always confused. Like, whose turn is it? I always just go because I'm just like, I'm not going to do the Seattle thing and go, "No, you go. No, you go." I'm just like, I'm going. So for people to give me the opportunity to help them, it's a gift. The other thing is that when you ask for help, Rebecca, it was uncomplicated is the thing. There's a way there's various different ways to ask for help. One way is to ask, like, what comes to mind is like, "Hey, I know that you're a stickler for this, but could I have this?" There's an insult in there, and the requester is trying to accommodate, right? They're like, "Hey, I know that you don't like this, but could I have this?" That could throw a wrench in it. Now, if you receive that kind of request from someone, just roll with it. But I find that some requests from people, they've thought too long and hard about it, and when they finally make the request, there's weirdness as they express it that can throw a wrench in the situation. So the best thing, and which is what you did, Rebecca, is just like, because you trusted me, you're just like, "Okay, this is what I need. This is that okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, totally." So that's just another little tip, because if you find that your requests kind of go a little wonky, the other thing is just find people that
would take your request. Yeah.
Because some people, for various reasons, have a hard time with requests.
And I had been thinking about doing that episode for like 10 years. And trying to find the right time and the right way. And I needed to be ready. And like, maybe you and I needed to be ready to go there.
Yeah.
So it didn't come in a vacuum.
Right. It wasn't just like you woke up one day and said, "I'm going to do this." It was hard. There's another question. And I know, Rebecca, you also mentioned that you have some shutdown behaviors like TV, online shopping.
What?
What is she talking about there? I see. Like watching TV
Right.
or online shopping
Yeah.
is a way for you to shut down.
Yeah, I have a quick story, real quick. So I just went to the art therapy conference in Portland, my first time going back since the Karen Pence demonstrations. And I'm staying with like the person that I can spend more. We're like cracked to each other in terms of like spending money. And one of the things that gets announced day 2 of the conference is that your badge will get you into the Adidas employee store, and everything in the store is half price. And I immediately screenshot it, send it to my friend. We spend so much money, like an embarrassing amount of money. We have like bags and bags and bags. And I was like, oh my God, we're like addicts when we're together. This is like so bad.
Well, were you shutting down? Or were you just...
We were actually having the time of our lives. Okay. Will I be paying it off for a while? Yes. But I've also been thinking a lot about under fascism, like I just need some joy right now. And if it's a pair of silver Adidas that are like showstoppers that small children stop me in the street to talk to me about, I'll spend money on that.
So she asks, where is the line between cocooning type behaviors when you're giving yourself
I can't
a rest?
Tell you. I cannot tell you.
And avoiding behaviors like when you're shutting down? How do you tell the difference?
So I would say it's who you surround yourself with in many, many ways. I can do the same behavior with the 2 different people, and one will be like, hey, I totally respect that you are off today, that you are out of spoons. And I could do it with someone else, and they will say, like, you are doing this to hurt me. Why do you always cocoon when it's time to be with me? So some of it is who you surround yourself with. Some of it is, it's like a lifestyle choice. Like we live like in one of the sportiest, is there a sportier city than Seattle where like people are in helmets and climbing mountains? And
Denver.
Bend, Oregon.
Yeah.
Like the primary response, like someone I know is perpetually, there's always someone in my life that's training to run a marathon.
Yeah.
Like just like that's the primary coping skill.
Hiking, kayaking, mountain climbing.
You're 55 and you're still skiing. Like I don't even know. And it, or maybe you've switched to snowshoeing or, like people here are incredibly active.
Yeah.
And I know people that have like 10 bikes, like, and like, you need a paddleboard and a canoe and you have 5 pairs of skis, like, and a mountain bike. Like these are these people.
Yeah.
And
I came out of the closet like 15 years ago and finally just declared that I'm not that person.
Yeah. Neither am I. I'm a total couch potato.
Yeah.
And the older I get, I just surround myself with more and more couch potatoes who just want to go to arts events or come over and watch TV. I have a soup exchange going with some friends. If we like make too much soup and bring it to each other's houses, and then like we don't actually interact. We just like leave it at each other's door and then text each other how good the soup was. Yeah. Like I am a home body.
Yeah. And
it doesn't work for some people. Some people get super angry at me for that. And other people love that about me. Yeah. So I would say, and there are times where like, okay, I haven't showered in one too many days, or I love my friends that write me who are like, I just slept with my laundry. And I was like, I totally understand. Last night I diabetic cookies for dinner, which are actually just crackers. There's nothing cookie about them. We all hit that super exhausted space. I know when my house starts to look a certain way that I've cocooned too far. But I also know who I can spend time with that's going to understand that, like, I'm super low energy. So one of the most famous walks in Seattle is to walk Seward Park. It's a mile or two?
I think it's a mile.
A mile. So I'm a super slow walker. Some of that is the autouterine rupture. Some of that is that I'm just like a couch potato. There's been times where
You're also short.
But still.
Shorter people have shorter legs, so they walk slower.
But there are times where I've been lapped by a friend who's also walking that walk like 2 or 3 times. And then the third time, they're just like looking at me like, holy shit, like you are not moving. But I'm like, I'm moving for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just have accepted that part about myself, and I mean, would you tell me if I smelled bad and I hadn't showered when I came in?
I guess, but I would never have thought that. Well, one, if you didn't shower in the morning, I assume since you're a couch potato, you're not like drenched in like gross sweat and stuff. You know what I mean?
I mean,
I've literally never thought that. Oh my
I
God,
always
she
try
looks.
and shower at least the day of, if not the day before I come
I never think that you are gross in the least. You
That's
always
good.
seem very put together.
That's very good. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
That's all that online shopping. So yeah, I mean, I run slow. That's just how I run.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody. The people in my life.
Right. So the phrase that I would put to it is meet your needs.
Yeah.
If your need is to avoid, then avoid. You know, I think long-term, Paige and Sarah, you're saying that it's a bad thing to avoid. It's not a bad thing to avoid. Your body is telling you something. Now, you can go too far in that direction and encourage, I guess, a form of depression, right? Without trying to counter it with like, okay, I've got to get moving here or else I'm going to just die on this couch or something. You know, I'm just going to sink into depression and inactivity. And by moving, it actually gets the blood going, gets the mood going. So there are some downsides to over cocooning or over avoiding, but especially when you're going through trauma therapy, because that's, you know, what you were talking about.
Yeah.
I would overemphasize the cocooning / avoiding because you're going through a tough time and there's a lot of needs there.
Yeah. And also I would say when I live in my rhythm, I produce more between 10 and 3 than most people produce if they worked all day. Like, it's kind of shocking to me that, like, when I can just run at my pace, get the rest that I need to. I mean, I don't think anyone in my life would be like, Rebecca, you haven't done enough.
Right. Yeah, that's another thing of just the amount of expectation that people tend to put on themselves about how much they're going to achieve in a day, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, just taking inventory about that. And then she ends, thank you again for everything you do for your podcast listeners. You've changed my life.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
I was with my friend who I shop till I drop with, and they are fascinated by this podcast, and they were asking me about it. And I was saying that I am part of the coolest international community that I could ever imagine. It's like, which reminds me, I have a new hobby, which is paint by numbers.
Oh.
I've been loving it.
Yeah, that was a trend like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, so they're big. I tend to find them. So the first one I found at Goodwill, and it was huge. I'm still working on it, but I'm going to complete it. And then I thought if we could give it to a patron to have some kind of, because people send us stuff.
So how would we give it away?
I don't know. Do we want to have
Maybe people would email in and then they could be in a raffle drawing.
Yeah.
Not a raffle, but like a lottery. Because raffle, you pay tickets or something.
Right, a
but
lottery.
Just like a random.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we will. So this one's of Paris in the spring. So if you would like my paint by numbers, I think I'm going to zhuzh it up with a little glitter paint when I'm done. But if you would like my paint by numbers of Paris in the spring, please write in and we will send it to you.
Put in the subject on the subject box on our contact form on our website, say Rebecca's painting, and I will.
And to be clear, this is paint by numbers.
Yeah, Rebecca's painting, and I will inform Stacy about this so that she knows what
and
is happening.
Probably, it looks like every few months I'll have another painting to give away. So everyone's asking me you're coping by making music, doing all kinds of stuff. I'm coping. Paint by numbers seems to be how I'm coping with fascism, and it's lovely, and I just love it.
All right, there's another email here. YouTube member and long-term patron Louise. She says,
"Thank you, Louise.
Dear Kirk and Rebecca, I've been meaning to write this email for a long time, and I finally found the time and headspace. My daughter, my one and only child, is 12, soon to be 13, and I'm finding it hard to cope with her getting older and becoming more independent.
Yes. Individuation.
There are 2 parts to this. Number 1 is my fear of losing her and the special relationship we have.
Yeah.
We are very close. She likes to sit with me in the evening and watch Superstore and Gilmore Girls. So
I love Superstore so much.
I love both of these. So
I could never get into Gilmore Girls. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm
my
wired
God.
wrong.
well, how have you tried?
I've watched it, and like,
How much have you watched it?
I don't know. Some of the first season, I just don't get
Yeah,
it.
no, I was the same. So there's a rhythm. It's at a very fast pace, the dialogue, and once I got used to it, I loved the show. Stacey and I are rewatching it. I guess I'm rewatching it maybe for the 5th or 6th time
Well,
right now.
I gotta, because I'm running out of shows. I'm running out of shows so intensely that I got BritBox, and now I'm running out of those shows. So I got it.
Well, the nice thing about shows in the past is that they had like 25 episodes
Yeah.
per season.
Right, not like the 8 now where you're like, what? It's over?
Yeah.
Okay,
and
but
there are, and all of them are on Netflix. And so, but yeah, Superstore and Gilmore Girls,
Bravo.
Stacey and I, these are two of our favorite shows. So watching those, it's like Louise, we're the same. So going on.
I just want to say, just today, I drove by E's work, and I was late. I was running late to get here, and everything in my body was like, go in and say hi. And I knew I would bug them, and I would be late to see you. And I was like, no, don't stop. You have to keep going.
You have a good relationship with them, so it's not like they would be that upset,
Right.
but they would just be a little like,
Mom,
oh, yeah.
don't come into my work and expect a hug.
But also happy to see you. And
Yeah, but that active individuating as a parent too, that empty nesting, that saying goodbye, Louise, it's incredibly painful. I feel you.
Yeah. So she says, I feel like I'm already grieving the loss, even though it hasn't happened yet. So
And then you get to grieve the loss when it happens.
So how did you deal with this when E was 12, turning 13, in terms of the pre-grief of,
Yeah.
of
I mean, so for some kids, they become such assholes in middle school that it's easy to reject them because their behavior is so annoying. Yeah. So that we had that experience. But yeah, I mean, you're losing that little kid. I mean, I remember like all these things that you'll never do again, like doing puzzles on the floor or helping with Halloween costumes or...
Well, and just how obsessed they are with you.
Yeah.
They want you. They are interested in you. Mm-hmm.
You get to dress them. Like when my kid was like, do not buy clothes for me anymore. Like I went and like there are these moments where like you kind of go into a panic and you lose that activity.
Yeah, you're the one that is pushing them away, really.
Yeah.
You know, you're the one that's like, oh, I'm sorry, I have to go to work, or I have to do chores, or I have to do this email. And they're the one pursuing you. Mm-hmm. And then it flips. You know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I have had this conversation 10 million zillion times with friends, with clients. I remember a friend of mine, our kids were peers, like buddies for years. And she said at some point, maybe pre-middle school, he won't let me hug him anymore. And I was like, oh my God. Like, you know, and she was visibly kind of tearing up. And I was like, I feel you so intensely. And my kid still lets me touch them. Yeah. But this idea that you would go from being completely enmeshed to them saying, don't ever touch me.
Well, don't say enmeshed. Close.
But close.
Yeah, very close.
Very
enmeshment is abusive.
Yeah.
So you're talking about close.
But yeah, just... your bodies are
involved.
one.
Yeah,
your bodies are one.
Normally involved.
Yes.
Yeah.
They started as one. I mean, if you were the birth parent, like your body has been one with them for a very intimate, long time. And then all of a sudden there's this sense of like, I don't need you that much. And then, so the philosophy that I learned that was most helpful for me and has been most helpful for friends and clients, I don't know who came up with this. Some family counselor was like, in the teen years, view yourself as a potted plant. You are silent, you are nearby, and when called on, you are available. And that, I just would say that to myself over and over again. Like, I am nearby when necessary. I will jump into action, which I always did. But yeah, there's so much grieving. I mean, at this time of year, so I know for different people, different times of year bring this up the most. But for me, as all the Halloween costumes are like coming up on my phone. I'm just like, oh, like, this time of year was so special for us as a family. And it's not that way anymore.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what I'm going to be for Halloween, and I don't know if they're even going to do Halloween.
What are you doing for Halloween?
I have so many costumes this year; it's unbelievable. So I
A lot of
already
Adidas themed costumes.
well, I already was.
So you're going to go as Run or DMC.
I already was a fox for the Tarot podcast, and then I've been requested at a Washington State leather fundraiser Halloween night. And so I think I'm going sexy witch. And when I was in Portland, thrifting, I found a black velvet cape. And I was like, oh, the thrifting gods are shining on me today. So, yeah, I'll probably...
Well, Stacey and I are going as Andor and Mon Mothma.
That's amazing. Your costumes are always off the chain amazing. And you would be a perfect Andor.
Well, I asked Stacey if I should grow out my beard because he has a little bit of a beard, and she wasn't really a fan. So maybe I'll paint it on. We'll see. Yeah.
And like, what phase in his journey are you? Right
The
before he sets
beginning
off?
of the series.
Okay.
It's that kind of out. Or wait, is it the movie outfit? It might be. No, I don't know. I'd have to look it up. But
And for those who haven't already, if you haven't watched season 2 of Andor, it is the most powerful thing you can watch right now.
yeah.
The slide into fascism. Season 1, the prison industrial complex blew me away, but season 2, where they move ahead like a year every single episode, baller.
Yeah.
Life-changing.
First time I've heard you say baller.
Because we're talking about Adidas.
Yeah, so grieving that loss is tough. The other thing I'll say is that you're assuming that your kid won't want to do those things with you. And some kids, especially today, because of the shifting towards health and self-care and not stigmatizing kids that are still connected to their parents, although there is that stigma, but much less than when we were growing up. And when we were growing up,
You did everything to run from your parents. And
if you didn't just actively reject your parents, even at 25, there was something deeply wrong with you. And that is not the case anymore, or at least it's a lot less. And so there's a lot of teens and young adults that will still, sit very close to their parents and watch Superstore and Gilmore Girls. So I don't want to give you false hope necessarily, but
I will say I've had some of the most beautiful, intimate moments of my life with Eli in the past as an adult.
yeah.
Like, it's still really possible.
But it's likely going to be different, and it's likely going to be less often.
And you get to watch them soar in another way. Like, do you know who Kai Cenat is? The most popular Twitch streamer in the world?
Maybe I've heard of them.
Okay. So Eli got to go to LA and
Oh, yeah. Well,
be in a Nerf battle.
Eli sent me a video of all that.
It was probably me.
Okay.
But, like, you get to watch your kid, if you're lucky, do what they do best in this crazy-ass world that we live in and be really, really happy.
Right. There are things you gain. You lose some things, but you also gain some things. But overall, it sucks. And that's the curse of parenting.
Yeah. And in this generation, chances are low that I will have grandchildren. And so it's like just trying to love on my kid as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
And make their life, so tying this all in with the grief, my mom passed in the most complicated, unprepared, she completely was unprepared to die, made my life so hellish as that whole thing ended. And, I've got everything in place so that my kid doesn't have to do that stuff. So, like, still parenting, but, as in an aging parent with an adult child kind of way.
Yeah. I'm in a couple of days, I'm heading up to Bellingham for a day to hang out with my parents and go to their attorney to start writing up their will. And my parents are very proactive, particularly my mom, about this. And so I'm saying this to all my Gen X listeners out there and my baby boomers that are listening as well, that preparing for the next phase of existence is helpful and meaningful. And helps to have some comfort. And I think my mom gets a lot of comfort from
And you're really
preparing.
close with your parents. Like
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was also thinking in terms of what this woman is saying, like, I don't know if your mom had a lot of kids. But, just knowing that you have to fill your life with something else that isn't
Right.
your children. And I was lucky in that things started to come my way as Eli aged. And I have opportunities now that I couldn't have done if, like, the whole sex therapy training process. I don't know if I could have done that if I had a kid in the house. Like, it was epic. It was like getting a second master's degree. So you have to fill your life, and that is hard. And that's where the empty nester stuff comes in. Like, you can't rely on your kids to take up all your time anymore.
Right.
And the way that we parent now, so much more is asked of us to give completely to our children in a way that other generations, we give up our hobbies. We run around to sports events. I was reminded the other day that when Ely was doing rock climbing, the kids' events would start at like 6 a.m. So we would be up at like 4:30 on a weekend to drive them to Kirkland to sit in a warehouse and watch children climb rocks, and I'm like not even awake yet, and like that whole phase of my life is over.
Yeah. So not only hobbies and activities and professional stuff, but also close relationships, having that warmth. So for you, Sarah or Louise, sorry, for you, having someone that you can watch Superstore and Gilmore Girls with.
You may need to turn towards your friends, and also that bonding that happens. Hopefully all your friends are going through this together. I mean, I still have friends who know that I've just went through it, and they'll call me and be like, my teenagers are assholes, and we'll have a whole conversation about it. So the way that we speak about our children and the trouble they get in and the things that happen gets so much more complex as they age.
So she has another question.
Okay.
Number 2 is the fear of her going out in the world and what could happen to her.
Amen.
I can feel my heart rate increase just typing these words out.
Yeah. So I will just say, I'm not allowed to say anything to my friends. I know that Eli's flying to LA, entering into this like weird ass Twitch universe. They've signed an NDA. They've taken their phones. I don't have any way to communicate with them. And at some point, I texted them, and I have friends whose like kids go to Asia, Europe. Like this for me and my relationship with Eli is the farthest, most in communication they've ever been. And I just wrote them, and I said, I don't know where you are. I don't know when we'll be in touch. I'm kind of freaking out as your mom. And I know, my other friend, like her kid's in Vietnam, like that's like so much farther. But like for me, there was something about this trip that Eli was on that was like, wow, you've really flown the coop, and your life has really gone in your own direction.
Yeah,
and
I mean
it's physically painful.
Yeah, every phase of this, the first time they have a sleepover, the first time they go to school even, right? When they're in preschool or kindergarten, or the first time they go to daycare when they're 3 years old, or the first time, say 6 months into the child's life, you get a babysitter. So, like grandma watches the kid and you get to go to the store by yourself. Like all of these moments are felt with tremendous anxiety, and that's normal. And it's just a part of the package. Again, the curse of being a parent going on.
And I will say, I have 2 close friends who have lost their children. And I am as available to them, both of them, as I can be, one of them more than the other. And to watch the level of constant pain that they are in. There is a relationship with your child where you have all of the hopes in the world, and to know that everything can go wrong and your heart will be broken like forever. These are very intense. This isn't existential, this is like, this relationship could end. Something horrible could happen to your child, and it's incredibly painful. I think it's the biggest, I don't know if there's a bigger grief than losing your child.
Yeah, no, I mean, most people will say that that's the worst. Yeah. Yeah. Going on. She is not straight. She has a girlfriend at the moment. I feel like the world is increasingly unsafe and potentially hostile to a girl like her. Mm-hmm. She recently started walking to and from school by herself when she's with her dad. We're separated, me and the dad. It completely terrifies me that she's walking to school by herself, but most other kids in our area have done that since they were much younger. Mm-hmm. When I speak to other moms, she says mums, because I'm assuming UK or something. When I speak to other mums, they seem much more relaxed about this. I sometimes wake up in the night and can't fall back asleep because of the anxiety, terrifying thoughts and images that go around in a
Is
loop.
she tipping forward in a VW bus like Eli was in my dreams?
For now, she's just walking to school. I honestly don't know.
Someday she'll be driving. That's terrifying. That whole period.
Yeah. If I had my way, I would just never let her go anywhere, but I know that's not realistic or healthy. Mm-hmm. And then she asked, am I being overreactive, Rebecca? What do you think?
I mean, everybody has a scale of this. I remember when Eli was little and we knew people that were obsessed that their child was going to get abducted, and I never had that thought. And if they did abduct that child, I was like, good luck. Like, they would probably bring that child back. But, everybody's different in what they fear and why they fear it. I will say have friends and family and clients that have all made it through these fears. If they are so overwhelming, it's definitely something to bring into therapy of, the sense of letting go. What does it mean to let her go? What does that really, really mean? It means that things change. Nothing stays the same. It means that we're out of control of what happens in our lives. It means that the world is a scary place. It's always been a scary place. And yet somehow there's 8 billion people on the planet. Somehow people survive all of these things. So I think it's really, really complicated. Obviously your anxiety is specific to you. So we'd want to kind of sort out what's happening there. And it's really, really normal. I mean, especially, God, in adolescence, we're like, oh my God, the year after my kid graduated, a kid was shot and killed in the parking lot of the high school that they went to. And there's just, life is so temporary. You don't know what's going to happen. And yet you have to let your child go.
Yeah.
It's so hard. I think the beauty is enjoying in what they will share with you. But man, is there so much letting go in parenting.
Yeah. Yeah. The key word that you said is sorting through, because there's so many different aspects to this, because there's nothing about your fears that is wrong or irrational or made up or delusional. All of the things you're worried about are things that any loving parent would worry about. But how do you deal with that? What emphasis do you put on it? You don't want to just completely let them do whatever they want to, but you also don't want to tie them to the bedpost. So what is that exactly? How do you navigate that? It's very complicated, and I've worked with many parents on this question, and it gets kind of weird. But the path forward is to go to therapy. This is a very important thing for therapy, honestly, because it is likely that
you have to look at your own attachment wounds,
right, and your traumas, right? There's various different roads to overprotectiveness of parents. One is that they went through something horrible that they have not recovered from. Another is that they have a spouse, maybe even in a divorce, that is not feeling very safe, right? Even if it's the spouse you live with, if that other spouse seems to be overly permissive, then you might feel like you need to be overly worried or something. So it's or there's triangulation of like, we have a fight.
Right. They're so out of control. I have to be I have to hold things super tight.
Right. There's a conflict between you and your ex that is being triangulated through the kid or something. But another one is parentification. If you were raised in a way that made you feel like you were responsible for taking care of your younger siblings or your parents or even yourself when you're young, then there can be not only a sense of responsibility that is not fair to you, but also a sense of my worth is tied to keeping other people safe. And that is my mission in life, is to keep people safe, because if I take my eyes off the ball, not only will horrible things happen, like dad will get drunk and drive into a ditch, or I will lose any love and attachment from people because this is my only reason that I'm getting any attention from my parents. It's because I have value as a big sister or something like that. So there's potentially things that are unrelated to the norm. You know, if you're looking at your friends and you're like, I think I'm more scared than other people, there's a lot of different reasons why that could be. And so sorting through all that, while also recognizing that your fears are normal. You are afraid that your kid is going to be raped or harmed or a hate crime or bullied or your kid's going to get into drugs or something. You know, these are okay worries. You should be worried. But how do you navigate that? And if you have overemphasis and paranoia, then the thing that you're worried about is rational, but the energy behind it is the trauma. You're saying that you're lying awake at night. It wakes you up in the middle of the night. This sounds like excessive anxiety and is not helpful. And that's the other thing, is like when it comes to these kinds of anxieties.
Right. How is it impacting your level of functioning? If
Right.
it's keeping you up at night, and this is every client I work with, I'm like, how's sleep and food? Like, if those two systems are jacked, we've got some work to do.
Right. The other thing that I talked with a lot of parents about was guidance versus control. I don't know if it was just the sort of problems that were being, coming to me with, I don't know if it's the sort of problems that clients would come to me for, but I very frequently would be talking about parents about guidance versus control. There's various different ways in which it can get wonky, but one of the principles is that when the kid is younger, generally speaking, we will lean towards control versus guidance, right? If they want to spend the night at a house of a kid that they just met yesterday at the park or something, you're going to say no to that in all likelihood, and until you get to know that family or something like that. But when they are 17 and they want to go on a date with someone that they met at school, and you've never met that person, depending on your culture and the situation, at that point, you are hoping to guide. You can't, if you start to control, especially if things are going poorly and the kid is defying or something, then what you should be focusing on is guidance, and that shift from control to guidance. And so the mission is, I want to download as much of wisdom and knowledge and decision making into this child so that they are an autonomous creature in the world that can act in a way that's safe for them. I don't have to put up all the the cushions around them. They can actually do this on their own.
Right. You want to teach decision making,
Right.
which means they're going to mess up a little bit.
Right. The
And
way that
that's-
everyone does.
Yeah. And it's hard. It's hard to watch them mess up, but that's actually where the most learning happens.
Yeah, and you have to be real strategic about it, because if if you're a parent of a teen and just wait,
Oh my God,
is
she's
it
11
Louise?
or 12 now.
Yeah, 12 right now. Just
Yeah.
wait, Louise.
Oh,
13, 14, my God.
yeah. There was time. I remember calling you at times, and you were like, "Do X, don't say anything." I was like, and you were like, "It'll be okay," and it was okay.
Yeah.
But like, you will need support to get through these times.
Yeah, it could get real bad. I've seen kids that at 12 are watching Gilmore Girls and loving their parents, and then they turn 13, 14, and they hate their parents. It's a tough time. It's a weird time. And the thing I'll say about that is it gets better. Like, you could do nothing and the kid will just naturally get better from 14.
Right. And the independence.
It's not an emergency.
Right.
Because people will see like a trajectory. It's just like, well, they keep getting worse.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I project it forward to when they're 25, they're going to be in prison. But that's not typically what happens.
Right.
So it's not an emergency.
It's interesting the way that independence, I mean, I had a high schooler in COVID, which messed everything up. But like, people start to drive, people get really into their hobbies. Like, these things happen that mellow your kid.
Well, their brain develops as well. You know what I mean? Like, their prefrontal cortex.
Right. You become, as their life fills up, here's a conundrum. As their life fills up with things outside of the house, they are less mad at you, unless you're in some kind of power struggle with them. Yeah. And I was lucky enough to have a kid. There were terrifying times, but we were never really in a power struggle. And the thing that I learned is that by creating a loving, open home, when things got scary, my kid came to me.
Right.
And that is like, if there's one thing I can say to anybody about parenting, it's that if you can be loving and kind with your child, set limits when you need to, yes, like, there were definitely lines in the sand. But that loving, caring dynamic, even if they hate you, when the shit really hits the fan, when they come to you for help, that's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah. So I know you have to go, Rebecca, so I'm just going to rattle off a few things. One, the fact that she is with you and that she is safe enough to be out as gay or bi, beautiful. And that she is sharing that with you says a lot about the foundation that you have moving forward, given, in line with what Rebecca is saying. It's never been
safe to be gay.
Yeah.
Never.
But it's an indication that if something starts to go wrong in her life, like she's in an abusive relationship or something, that she's a lot more likely to tell you about it, and you can be there. So you can check in, you can, and I'll tell you, watching Gilmore Girls will have a lot lot of education.
So many lessons.
There are so many lessons on that show, and good lessons.
For us, it was Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like, there's so many times that something will be happening, and we will refer back to that show as the lesson.
Yeah.
Like, these are foundational moments.
Yeah. The other thing, along the lines of what Rebecca is saying, is you have to accept that bad things are going to happen to her.
Painful, horrible. So I'll just say this one story. It's so crazy. So Eli was in a car accident. They totaled their truck. It was horrible. And because of the way that the world works now, there's all these videos from different angles online of the accident. And I would watch them and start sobbing uncontrollably to process them with my kid, who's also watching them. And there's this one that's shot from the angle of my kid's driver's side. So you see the cars hit, start sobbing. You see my kid freeze for a moment. And then I see my kid get out of the car and run to the other car to make sure that the person in the other car was okay. And then I fucking lost it. Like, I'm like, my kid did the right thing in the world. Like, just... But it's like the world that we live in, there's so much... In no other time in human history would I have that much information about this one incident that was incredibly traumatic. But getting to experience it as a parent, it was just terrifying. So I will say, like, this is probably the hardest time to parent in human history, because most of the time when you and I got in trouble, our parents had no idea what had happened. And there was no way there was any video evidence of what had just gone down.
Yeah, they might not have even known it happened, if you dinged your car and they didn't notice it. So, yeah. I mean, if you totaled your car, our parents would have known. But anyway, so bad things are going to happen. Now, you don't want horrible, traumatic things happening, and that's where the guidance comes in, and that's where some of your control comes in. But you can't overemphasize the avoidance of bad things happening at the expense of their mental health. And let me just really drive something home that will hopefully motivate you to address this head on early, and you're very wise to have this email, and you are saying all the right things, and you rationally know all the right things, and you're fighting something in you, the anxiety. There is a huge risk to not going to therapy and addressing this, which is that when you are anxious, it puts your child
right. You make your kid either more anxious or you make them parent you.
Right. So they will be in a bind. They can either be independent and harm you, or they can stop growing up and soothe you. You do not want to put them in that bind. Also, if they accept your view of the world, which
as
they
an anxious, scary place,
which they likely do because of how close you are, they will believe that the world is a horrible, scary, threatening, unworkable place, but there's a part of them inside that really wants to explore that, and they will, with that anxiety, when something mildly wrong happens in the world, they will retreat, and they might never leave your house.
Yeah, it becomes a confirmation bias that, right, Mommy told me the world is scary, and look how scary it is. X just happened.
Right. Or they have to completely reject your view. This is why you don't teach abstinence only. This is why the DARE program in the 80s didn't fucking work. Just say no doesn't work, because people will say, well, I'll give marijuana a try, or I kind of like the way this feels when we roll around together in the backseat of a car. This isn't as bad as the way they were saying it is. So maybe everything they were saying was wrong. So if you have this point of view and they say do something that maybe in secret that they know you would be terrified of, they go, well, that wasn't so bad. And then they don't think anything you say is worthwhile. And then you are completely without any ability to influence them. So it's not just coping with your anxiety that's important. You could do all the right things, but your kid will know. So you have to address the anxiety itself so that you don't have to put effort into suppressing your anxiety. You don't have to cope. So the therapy, the awareness, the corrective experiences, the trauma recovery, whatever is necessary, will give a vibe to a child.
Get out the way, really. Yeah. Let them live life. It's really, really hard.
To wrap up the email, Louise says, thank you so much for everything you do. I love all the podcasts, but I have to admit that I get the most excited when I see a new Rebecca-sode. Love, patron Louise.
That's really sweet, Louise. Thank you.
And everyone out there, please take care of yourself, because
it's really hard out there, and we really do care about you.